Time being 7 p.m., I'd like to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the traditional territory acknowledgement, followed by a moment of silence. Council of the Township of Red Rock hereby acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Robinson Superior Treaty and that the land we gather on is home to the Red Rock Indian Band, the Anishinaabe, and the Métis people. Next item is the Fire Prevention Week proclamation. I will be reading it out in its entirety. Whereas the Township of Red Rock is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all of those living and visiting our town, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are at their greatest risk to fire, and whereas roughly 2/3 of home fire deaths result from fires in which no smoke alarms or no working smoke alarms were present. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the chance of dying in a reported fire in half, and whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas the Ontario Fire Code requires at least one smoke alarm on every level of the home, including the basement and outside are all sleeping areas. And whereas informing the public about the importance of smoke alarm installation and maintenance serves as an essential step towards increasing the public safety from home fires, and whereas Red Rock residents are dedicated to public education measures and are able to take personal responsibility to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas this year is the 100th anniversary of Fire Prevention Week, and the 2022 fire prevention theme for this period is Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape. Now therefore, I, Darkese Robinson, Mayor of Red Rock, do hereby proclaim October 9th to the 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week, and further encourage all residents to protect their homes and families by heeding the potential life-saving measures of Fire Prevention Week 2022 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Red Rock Volunteer Fire Department, and further challenge all residents to take responsibility for their fire safety and check their homes and ensure that they have a working smoke alarm on every floor of every house and outside their sleeping areas, as well as at least one working carbon monoxide alarm, and have planned and practiced their home escape plan. Is there a mover and seconder for a motion to proclaim October 9th to the 15th, 2022 Fire Prevention Week in the Township of Red Rock? Councilor Mayor, Councilor Park. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Administration advises there is no amendments to the agenda. Do any members of council wish to make amendments to the agenda? Seeing none. Can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Councilor Tedesco. Councilor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Are there any declarations of interest to disclose? Seeing none. Tonight we have Red Rock Development, Inc., Paul Veldman, Peter Whitman, Carol Mitchell, Tom Jansen, Stacy Jack, here to speak with council on future developments for the Red Rock Mill site. Welcome. Yeah, so just there's a button there to push. The red light will go on. Yeah, great. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson and all of council for the opportunity to have a discussion with you this evening. We intend to try to keep this brief this evening, more as an introduction to some of the team members that we hope over the months to come, both staff and council will get to know a little better. Each of these members will hopefully for a few minutes introduce themselves to council and give some background and context to their roles. But as an opening statement, I really want to thank you, Mayor, and Council, and especially Mark, for the work over the last months to have come to a resolution. As a company, obviously, as Council, it's been a long time coming. And so we're very grateful, Mark, for your continued work with us through this. It was a lot of back and forth and discussion, but always an open dialogue that was very appreciated. And we remain committed to Red Rock, probably never as much as today, to be honest with you. We see a great future here, and we hope that the investment made to date is just the beginning of more to come. And the process that we hope to go down is to have that open dialogue with Council, with staff, on what that future looks like. And in terms of planning, we had thought to sort of present some concepts to you, but really want to ask of yourself, Mayor, and Council, to have the discussions with staff so that the plan isn't coming from us as a presentation, but rather a working together with staff and Council on how to best fill it in. It's over 350 acres of property, some of which has environmental challenges, which we intend to address, and Carol Mitchell will speak a little bit too. There's some exciting sort of opportunities from a redevelopment point of view around housing. Tom and his team out of Winnipeg have been involved with us for, I think, the better part of a year now, in terms of studying the property and sort of giving some concepts to that. But it's really opening the door tonight to, we haven't had the opportunity to have this kind of discussion in a long time. And so we don't want to sort of overdo it tonight. We just want to set the table, get to know us a little bit, and hopefully it's just the beginning of many meetings. So hopefully sort of within 20, 30 minutes or so of your time tonight, and then we'll excuse ourselves and again, work with Mark and staff to sort of carry the conversation on. So maybe as a quick introduction to the people behind me as well, you have Carol Mitchell of MTE. She'll speak a little bit about what they have done on the site for a better part of 4 years. Tom Jansen of Scatliff, urban planners that have had some discussion with staff and with the planners that the town is involved. Stacey Jack, one of our BMI team members, she's based in Fort Francis and has been active on the file. I don't think Stacey Mitch is with you, so it's just yourself, correct? And then obviously Peter Whitby to my right, whom some of you might have gotten to know, has been stationed here, and Peter will talk a little bit about what he has been doing and will continue to do in town. So maybe for the more challenging part first, Carol, over to you to just introduce yourself and speak a little bit to Council on what you've done, Mayor and Council.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Carol Mitchell. I'm a professional engineer. I'm an environmental engineer in the province of Ontario, and I've been working as an engineer for 37 years. I've been working at my current job with MTE Consultants for 13 years. I'm a shareholder here, and we have 5 offices in southwestern Ontario. My main office now is in my hometown of Stratford, Ontario, where I moved to permanently during COVID. Because at the time we thought everybody over 60 was going to get zapped by COVID. So we separated the 2 senior engineers in their main office in Kitchener, and I got to move to my hometown. So that being said, I've been working with Paul and his brothers, his partners, since, well, about 8 years now, since about 2014. Worked on a lot of projects together, done a lot of good work. I'm the technical director here at MTE, so I get involved in some very complex projects, soil and groundwater related, remediation related. I help our clients buy and sell properties. And I also work, MTE is one of 6 firms in Ontario that reviews other environmental engineers' work and risk assessment work for the MOE. So we get paid by the MOE to act as the MOE, which is now called the MECP. So forgive me, I still call them the MOE, the Ministry of the Environment. So it's been, I'll just give you a quick update on what we understand of the former mill. It's been 14 years since Narampak owned it, and about 10 years, I think, that since Narampak owned it. Sorry, we started working on it in 2018, and I think that was about 10 years after Narampak owned it. So there's 10 years kind of missing data. Of course, when Narampak owned it, they were doing what they could, and then since Paul and his partners took over in 2014, I believe, and then 2018, MTE started working on the project. So there was a real, we didn't inherit much soil and groundwater data. So we've been spending the past 4 years getting some property and getting to know what it's like today, not what it's like when Narampak left it, because of those ensuing years. And so we've been trying to get what data we can. We've also been helping a little bit to tidy up the property. And we've, like I said, been getting to know the site. And we've been working with the MECP, or the Ministry of the Environment, to address some of the historical concerns, including updating the permitting to reflect the current site conditions with respect to the landfill and site drainage and those sorts of things. So we've started to collect a lot of surface water data, which I'm very happy to report is not toxic as it leaves the site and goes into Nipigon Bay, which is great news. And we're still seeing the trends in that and understanding it, but we have quite a bit of data now, and we're starting to really understand the current environmental conditions at the site. So we're working to do the general cleanup and help make sure that future development at the site is in compliance with the current regulations, and making ourselves known with the current staff at the MECP. So happy to answer any questions if anybody has any later or now. I'm not sure what your process is, but I'm happy that we're making some progress at the former Red Rock Mill. Thank you.
We'll just let everybody speak first, and then we'll go with questions.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe to add to Carol's point, there's also led by Carol and her team a work plan developed for each sort of critical area. Those are well defined, and if any of the councillors or Mayor yourself want to know more, or staff, about that, we can certainly have discussions with Carol as they visit the site to better understand it. There's a lot of data there, so if we get sort of into questions around that, we could be here a long time. But that being said, of course, we can ask some general questions of Carol later. So maybe from there, Tom, over to yourself in terms of the work that Scatliffe has done. Also based on the data of MTE and what you guys understand, and just a general update as to sort of when you got engaged and where we are today.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. Nice to see everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? So my name's Tom Jansen. I'm a city planner and a partner with Scatliffe Miller Murray. We're a landscape architecture, urban design, and planning firm. We're headquartered in Winnipeg and have offices in Regina and Calgary. I think we were probably engaged, I think, like Paul said, about a year ago. Members of our team have been out on site twice now, once back in February. It's cold, miserable. And then we had a great trip. I was there personally in May. We had a really great trip, got to see the site for ourselves, got to really see how beautiful Red Rock is and the incredible setting. And I think it really inspired us to think about what the potential of these lands are. So the work that we've been doing to date is really trying to understand the possibilities of the site, understanding that there are some environmental constraints that have to be managed as part of a redevelopment, but we also see significant redevelopment potential and significant opportunity in the site. Not only in terms of land use, but also just incredible topography and natural setting. There's a lot of assets that the site has, and so our work today has really been looking at various development or redevelopment concepts for the land, and trying to get a better handle on what that development potential might be. So that's really it in a nutshell. As Paul mentioned, we had some early conversations with Nancy Johnston from McSweeney, and I think the other point to make is we see a lot of potential for alignment with Red Rock's own strategic plan in terms of growing the population, growing the local economy, and really trying to create a sense of community with the future redevelopment. So I think we're really looking forward to the next stage of planning, working with Red Rock and its neighbors to really define a cohesive vision for the land and figure out a redevelopment plan that's going to work and is aligned with those strategic directions.
And so maybe, Tom, I think part of the process, not only in terms of consultation with staff, but as well, we look to hold some community engagement in terms of getting input from the local residents as well. And so that would be part of, an exercise that we see happening predominantly over the course of the winter as we move through heavy snowfall, and then set ourselves up to do some things for this coming spring as well in terms of physical work. You'll see some more activity on the site already over the next weeks to come, but I think that would be a part of the plan as well, right, Tom?
Yeah, for sure. Really critical, a really critical piece to planning for anything of this scale, and I think it can be a nice add-on, that builds on the work that McSweeney's been doing and has done already. So yeah, for sure. And we'll try to find some synergies, I think, as well with Red Rock's other long-range planning initiatives, and work with Mark and administration on that, and Paul and Peter.
Okay, and so that's Tom, and so Stacy Jack is based out of Fort Francis. Stacy works there actively on a day-to-day at our mill that we purchased there, as well as on our partnership with what's called Ajigan, which is the International Bridge, which we're a partner. Stacy's also worked, and she can speak to that a little bit in terms of local relationships with the Red Rock Indian Band. We did have a visitation at site with them, so maybe you can just give a little background, Stacy, on what you do. And
sure, yeah. Hi everyone, thanks for having us tonight. I'm a project advisor with the BMI group, and I've been with the company for a couple of years now, and it's been really wonderful. They have some amazing projects going on across the province, and I'm happy to be a part of some of the major ones that we have. I'm an archaeologist by profession, but my background is in community relations. So my interest is really in developing projects that are inclusive of communities and really respectful of the history of the site and history of the people where they are. And I've been offering general support on the project for Red Rock, Fort Francis, and a bit in Iroquois Falls. My focus has been on some of the relationship building with the Indigenous groups surrounding the projects. So for Red Rock Indian Band, we have a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. We've already had some really good meetings with them, and we're happy that we have Peter on the ground in Red Rock. He's the person, obviously, and I think everyone there knows him quite well. So that's about it. Paul?
perfect, thank you, Stacy. And then last but not least, Peter Whitby here beside me to the right for a quick hello.
Hello, everybody. I hope you guys have seen me driving around town in my Jeep. I've moved around to a few homes. I was on Newton Avenue, which I set up, and then we have 3 workers there now. And I've moved over to Crutchfields, which I'm going to be staying. So if you have any questions, you can find me there at 9 Crutchfield. But basically, I came to Red Rock about a year ago. It's coming up on a year this week. And I was up with John and Paul, went to site. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't think I saw the landfill or the lime pile, and just saw the beautiful mountain. And I said, you know, what's the company, what are we doing here? Like, what's the vision? What's the plan? So I asked to work on the Red Rock Mill site. And I feel like to do something well, it's a 5-year commitment and you need to be there. So I do live in town. We've also got a great team. Jesse from our team, who's on site every day, is moving up with his fiance into Red Rock as well. So we have human capital as well. It's about people. Things I'm proud of is the people we've worked with. I think I've done business with everyone in Red Rock, from Red Pebbles Cafe to Jay's Garage to Wayne Bolter to Jeremy Keating to Nip Rock Plumbing and Heating, you name it, like, we're here. So very proud of that. I'm also proud of the plan. Like, in order to do something, you need a plan. So I think Paul and I called Tom and Michael Scatliff on Christmas Eve. We said, we need a plan. So I can tell you, Tom, it's been 9 months or 10 months. So we'd like to present that, you know, kind of one-on-one, or like, I'm here, we can go for coffee. We'd also like to get you guys on site because we have been working really hard, even today. So yeah, I think we'll just keep it brief today, but we're passionate, we care, we're here. We have a great investment group behind us, and yeah, so, you know, just want to say hello today. But echoing kind of Carol and Tom and Stacy, like, we do plan town information sessions. We've talked with Mark about it, but we said, let's just kind of one step at a time. And so this is the first step. So nice to meet everybody, and look forward to meeting you again.
Thank you, Peter. And I'd be remiss not to thank one of our contributors, major contributor. When we bought the Red Rock Inn, it was quite empty and didn't have a lot of occupancy. And so I just left, and Donnie was there. And so I think everyone knows this already. He's very proud to say this, but 166 countries visited. This year over last year, 20% growth. And I think over 1,200 guests this year so far at an 85% occupancy. So the cool thing about what we've seen happen at the inn is that when you sort of build it, they will come. And obviously at the Red Rock Inn, that's been sort of a brick and a bed at a time. But it just speaks to when folks come, they've been coming back and coming back and coming back, and have sort of fallen in love with what Red Rock has to offer. So I'd just be remiss if I didn't make that comment.
And I had one more thing. We are committed to housing. I think that's really important. And we've submitted a building permit to build the first new house in Red Rock. I'm looking at Whitney, I think it's 30 years, it was 33, something. The building permits in. So we're committed to, and that's on Rankin Street beside the community garden. So just wanted to share that. We're getting there. So yeah, I think it's really important to us.
So thank you for the time, and over to you, Mayor Robinson, if there's any questions or how you want to handle that. Obviously, we're here.
Thank you for coming tonight. I am glad that we have settled our past differences, and we look forward to working with you moving forward, right? At the end of the day, it's what's the betterment for Red Rock, and that's our goal. Anyone sitting at this table, this election time, so whoever is going to be joining us next term, I believe that's their goal as well. I'll leave it. If anybody has any questions, again, let's not get too technical, because this was just a simple presentation for them, that they're in the community, supporting the community, and are looking to move forward. Councilor Muir.
Yeah, I definitely love to hear about that plan. I mean, we've got another council meeting in 2 weeks. We'll come back for that.
So maybe I'll just defer to Mark in terms of what we're hoping to get direction from council on to some degree tonight, to sort of open the door to Mark and his team to tie in some of the physical attributes amazing investment, the water treatment plant. So when we build a plan and we talk about housing, I mean, we have an ambition of building 100 new homes in town. How does the servicing tie in, the water, the streets? And so before we present a plan to council, we think it's prudent to have those conversations to ensure that when it does come forward in this chamber, it's has some substance in terms of also the technical parameters around it. But of course, we're always happy, and maybe Mark will take some direction in terms of what you see as sort of a best, but this is just to open the door to say, here we are. As Peter said, he can bring a Timmy's down, or I guess that's another one of our goals, is to get a coffee shop in town, but that process might evolve sort of over the winter.
Yeah, we're here. We've been, Tom and his team are amazing. We're working hard, so we're happy to show you these concepts, but we don't say this is fixed in stone. This is, you know what I mean? It's a collaborative effort. So happy.
We don't want to get caught with the cart before the horse,
Yeah.
which has happened before. Councillor Tedesco?
Welcome, people. Three things. One, I want to echo what Gord has just said. It's going to be important to do a lot of talking beforehand, whether it's formal, informal. Probably more of the formal stuff will happen with Mark and ourselves, and perhaps closed sessions and all that, but also informal, where we can speak with you and let you know our feelings and what we think would work really well here. Carol, if I may, what's your relationship with the MOE? You had bounced around. You're an engineer and
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm an engineer, but I'm a consultant. And all my work is done to MOE laws.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought
But
perhaps.
I also work as the MOE. They also hire us to do their work.
Wouldn't that be a bit of a conflict?
No. No, I review as the MOE. I review other engineers' work as the MOE.
Okay. It's good to see that the environment is being considered. And
It just means I'm considered an expert in the province of Ontario.
thank you. And Peter, you're with BMI. What's your designation? Are you going to be the one that's going to go out there and put in the foundations and put up the walls, or are you going to be maybe more in the planning stage of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, the title is general manager. I think it's really important to have a plan. So to coordinate the plan with leadership is something I care about. But yeah, sometimes I shovel the snow and we get our hands dirty. Like I said early, like look around, there's not, we're a small team. So, but yeah, general manager is the title here, leader in town. Yeah.
And I would certainly endorse the concept of planning, because the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's not an option here. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Park?
So I'm wondering about investment. Do you have investors that are interested in the development, or are you looking for investment from the community of Red Rock and surrounding communities?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We do have, at the BMI group, we have a partner. It's a Dutch-based fund. It's called Samen Investeren. A little bit hard to say maybe, but they are a real estate-based fund with sort of I would call it almost an impact investment fund in terms of sort of the terminology. So yes, there's, a desire for a return on investment, but there's a strong focus as well on sort of social issues as well as environmental impact. So they have sort of joined forces with us on this development. And so as of right now, we are well funded. And that, I think, quite frankly, was a missing element in the past. Being, candid, it was not always the easiest in terms of sort of promoting what was going on, but we found a very strong partner in that. And so I think it's part of our confidence in terms of the future as we move forward. Maybe a missing element in terms of Peter's role here is as well. We've purchased a few homes in town that we're actively restoring and rehabilitating, and those we intend to sort of rent out, hopefully to new community members, but as well existing community members. And so, in the plan, as we sort of develop it, housing is an anchor in terms of growing population base, growing tax base, lightening, hopefully, taxes, per person in town by bringing in industry as well. So we do see sort of a mixed use development, not just sort of a single focus, sort of to your point, and plan that out methodically. So not to try to bite off too much, take it in stages, which when you have 360 plus acres, that's a reasonable approach.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming tonight. We greatly appreciate it. We look forward to those houses being completed because there's lots of people looking for houses and they ask us all the time. And we all know which ones you guys are working on, so that's great. That's, an investment in Red Rock and we appreciate that. So again, thank you very much and we look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the minutes of the last regular meeting, September 19th, are at items 5.1 on the agenda. Are there any errors or omissions to note in the minutes? Seeing none, may I have a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the minutes at items 5.1? Councillor Park, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Correspondence, first item 6.1 is information purposes only relating to the 2023 Roma conference. Do any members of council have any questions? Do we plan on seeking to speak to ministers or?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to share that because obviously that comes at the expiry of this council and into our new term, but certainly I think it's important that we are there as a community. We have a few major projects on the go, so I think it was just more of an information session for council as well as potential councillors or candidates at this time. Just as a kind of a save the date kind of a reminder at this point.
Yeah, thank you. Next item 6.2, information purposes only relating to Ontario Public Library Week. Do any members of council have any questions? Seeing none. Item 6.3 is information purposes only relating to the inspection of approved burn plans in the Dog River, Madawin and Black Spruce Forest. Do any members of council have any questions? Seeing none. We have a donation letter, 6.4. The purpose relating to a donation received from St. Hilary Catholic School for their annual cross-country run. Do any members of council have any questions? I will state that our standard this past year has been 250. If that is what we are going to continue to do. Or Councillor Tedesco.
I'm in favor of the concept of a donation because they are a pretty important facet in our community. I think 250 might be a bit rich. I would recommend somewhere about 150.
We do have all the schools, all the surrounding schools.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Councilor.
It's all the surrounding schools. So there's going to be like a couple hundred kids. It's a lot of oranges and bananas and food for them. So there's going to be a lot of kids there. So I'm in support of 250.
I also support 250. Okay, so I'll go with the motion with 250 and we'll see if it passes. Is there a mover and seconder for motion to donate $250 to St. Hilary School for the cross-country run? Councilor Muir, Councilor Park, All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. First item 8.1 is the report on administrative activity. Do any members of council have any questions of Mr. Piccaninny? Councillor Tedesco.
Mark, can you bring us up to date on the Superior North emergency measures situation? Where are we at with the, we've had that wrestling match with the big brother there in Thunder Bay.
Yeah, certainly, as it says, I mean, my office, I continue to monitor the situation. I guess I can bring you to the last, not the last, but the council meeting in the city of Thunder Bay. I did attend representing Red Rock that evening. I believe there was 10 members of city council present that evening. It was a unanimous vote, 10 votes to none to consolidate the Nipigon Red Rock bases. So in saying that, it is going to be consolidated unless something like that hit Thunder Bay Council on a new council. I guess there's always a chance that somebody could bring that to the table. In saying that, there's many factors to this proposal. So it would be the consolidation of Nipigon Red Rock bases along with Scriber Terrace Bay bases, along with the full outright closure of the Beardmore station, which on a timeline, from what I gather, the Beardmore station is slotted for closure at the end of this calendar year. The other two bases, Nipigon Red Rock, Scriber Terrace Bay, are a work in progress. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts there to the process, of which Superior North EMS does request community involvement in these projects. So, for example, if the Township of Red Rock wanted to fund this project, or the Township of Nipigon wanted to fund this project based on a long-term lease, say, for example, that could happen. Me personally, I don't see at this point anyway a commitment from either council, not because there's a lot more work to be done on that. So I see this as something that probably will drag out over a period of time. Again, that's my guess. Certainly we don't, and nor should we take the approach that we don't want to continue to advocate for our community and fight this. And I think that's the approach we'll take for the remainder of this council and more than likely moving into the next council. But in saying that, it has been passed by the city of Thunder Bay, who does make those decisions based on Superior North EMS, is governed by the council of the city of Thunder Bay, and they have unanimously passed a resolution to consolidate the two bases.
Mark, a couple more questions. One, is there benchmark dates that these people are giving? Are they saying that this has to be consolidated by, say, 2028, or are you hearing anything to that effect?
The only commitment we did get that evening was the fact that more discussions will take place, and that we will work together to work our way through this process. So at this point, again, there would have to be a consolidated base built between the two communities.
Councillor Muir.
Yeah, further, I guess my comment further on that, when we heard about that previously, was Nipigon Red Rock kind of holding the line on that, right? Going forward, holding the line and making sure that they work together to make sure that it stays the way it is. Same with Terrace Bay and Scriber, right? It's not, here we're gonna, whoever comes with us and says they're gonna build a base, it's going there. That's not, they're trying to pit us against each other. Holding the line is the important thing, right? So I think together everybody's gonna, be able to be stronger. So keep working on that. Whoever's here sitting in these seats later.
Yeah, I think politically there's definitely a role to play. I can speak to history. I believe it was 2015. I was actually the mayor in Scriber at the time, and I know there was a strong political push at that time. So I do have a bit of history on the project, and in saying that, what I do see in the report by the by the consultant is a very similar report to 2015. There was a different outcome at the City of Thunder Bay Council level at the table that time. So I think the fight this time is going to take a lot more. But in saying that, I wish I had a better answer for you, other than the fact that there is a lot of work ahead, and the ultimate decision has been made that that the City of Thunder Bay, who controls the decisions, wants one base between the two communities.
Councillor Tedesco.
At the present time, our building, our ambulance building is owned by the municipality, correct?
No,
No?
it's not. No.
Because the municipality had put it together, I believe. Gary. A whole bunch of others.
It was volunteers that built the base, and it's owned by the hospital. So
Okay.
SNEMS pays.
Any idea as to what would happen with this building in the event of?
The hospital owns the building. And just an update, Beardmore is expected to close March 5th. That deadline has been pushed back. I believe a lot of deadlines are going to be pushed back. And didn't help City of Thunder Bay's cause that unfortunately there was a truck accident with a school bus, and it took 50 minutes for surrounding ambulances to respond. So that's something they have to deal with. Any other questions or comments on Mark's report? Seeing none, is there a mover and seconder for a motion to receive the report? Councillor Park, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Thanks, Mark. Item 9.1 is a bylaw to amend a bylaw to provide for advanced votes for the 2022 municipal elections. Does council have any questions for administration? Seeing none, is there a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the bylaw? Councillor Park, Councillor Tedesco. All in favor? All hands rising, motion's carried. Item 10.1 is a request for letter of support on the application of a Red Rock Energy Storage Project. Does council have any questions of administration? Councillor Tedesco.
Mark, is it possible that we could request that they submit a deputation and speak with us about this? This seems like a really interesting proposal here. I'd sure like to know more. So hopefully we could receive that kind of information directly from them.
Yeah, well, so basically, as CAO, I will present the information based at this time. What I can say is what the resolution does read is support for an application simply through the IESO. They, through this process, already do have plans to engage both the community as well as stakeholders, as well as First Nations, as well as council. So that will come. Again, what you are seeing is this is a potential piece of the overall project with Red Rock Developments on a scale on certain areas of the property. So they will be coming very shortly with engagement to council. At this level right now, I've been working with both the IESO as well as Red Rock Developments on this resolution. And at this point, what it is simply a resolution to support the application. So it clearly states in there that it's rated criteria points for the application, and under no way does it go beyond that. The ultimate decision power of anything that ultimately is part of this process does still fall with the Township of Red Rock.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Is there a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the resolution? Councillor Muir, Councillor Park, All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Yeah, there is no unfinished business. Next is the confirming proceedings of council. Can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to pass the bylaw? Councillor Tedesco. Councillor McDonald. All in favor? All hands rising, motion is carried. Time being 7:45, there is no other business to attend to. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.